Your content might be getting you views, but is it actually making you sales? Today, I want to share with you the 4A scripting model: attract, anchor, activate, and acquire, which is a proven framework to create not only binge-worthy content backed by psychology, but content that's going to build trust and drive sales. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels, creating content that feels like it's going nowhere, this is for you. You're going to learn how to leverage consumer psychology and neuromarketing to connect with your audience. And we're going to get very tactical today because these are the way that you are actually going to phrase the things that you're saying. You probably already have your content plan. You already have a list of ideas and things that you want to talk about in your content. This is how you're going to script or frame those pieces of content so that they're actually going to be impactful in bringing people through the customer journey from discovery to purchase and speaking to all four of the buyer types in your audience. We have a client who started implementing this model on Instagram recently and went from very inconsistent inquiries to actually booking out her services for 3 months. So we're having to do a little bit of rearrangement with her offer suite and bringing in some additional team members so that this is more scalable. And we had another client who created a TikTok series that brought in over $20,000 in program sales in a single week. So we love that. We love a little social proof, right? So we also know, because I yap about it constantly on social media, that I've built a multi-million-dollar business by creating organic content. We've never spent a dollar in ad spends, and it's because our content is designed to convert, and this model is the way that we tactically and tangibly facilitate that. You might be finding that your content is very heavy on the aesthetics, right? But it's not necessarily solving problems or motivating action. So it's kind of a waste of effort. And your audience probably doesn't know what to do next when they see your content. So they might be engaging and commenting things like, wow, great information, good insights. Thanks for sharing. This was so useful. I love your content, right? Those types of things are the comments that you're going to be getting when you're creating content that is informational, not impact driven. Ultimately, we want to activate, not educate. You might be noticing high impressions, high reach, but low conversions. You might notice that your messaging is kind of confusing and it lacks structure because you have so many things that you want to share, so many things that you want to say, but you don't necessarily know how to structure it into a content format that's going to be very bingeable and memorable and ultimately converting. So let's break down again, tangibly, how we actually do this. So like I mentioned, the 4 pillars of the model are attract, anchor, activate, and acquire. So attract, the purpose is to grab attention and leverage emotional triggers to create a dopamine release. So we're going to leverage what's called the novelty bias and trigger dopamine so that your audience feels rewarded by consuming your content. This is going to pull them into your ecosystem, and it's also going to get them to kind of lower their defenses so that you can share with them, the mistakes that they're making, highlight the gaps that they have in their understanding. A very, very simple example of this is like, you're doing this wrong and it's costing you money, or you're doing this wrong and it's ruining your health. You're doing this wrong and it's ruining your marriage, right? We are hitting home to the impact of the mistake that they are making that's going to grab people's attention. And when we create this aha moment for them, like I said, it triggers dopamine and that novelty bias so that people feel enticed to continue consuming your content. Number 2 is anchoring. So the purpose of this is to essentially validate the audience's current reality, frame the problem, and anchor them in your authority. This is leveraging the framing effect in sales psychology. How you position the problem determines their perceived urgency to solve it. Hitting home to not only, the things that you know and giving them insight, but also helping them to understand what the problem actually is and what it's going to cost them if they don't solve it. So an example of this would be a video saying like, this is why your content isn't working. It's missing clear connection to your audience's symptoms, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's your hook. And then you dive into a little bit deeper insight and help them to understand why this is causing a problem and what that gap actually looks like for them. Next is activate. The purpose of this is to essentially inspire action and really hit home to emotional motivation by sharing results. And we're also really hitting home to the norm of reciprocity in sales psychology. So we're giving them value paired with insight and results. So this is where insight it meets implementation. So a very simple example of this is like my client went from X to Y by doing XYZ, right? So you're giving a result and you're pairing it with the information that if they listen to you, they can get that desired outcome. And then number 4 is acquire. The purpose of this is to close the loop essentially by showcasing your solution, how it works, and driving conversions. And this is something that is going to build trust through proof and results. And so you want to use this to exactly like it sounds, acquire leads. So typically this is the type of content where people are going to be infusing a call to action in the comment section where people can comment, you can start sales conversations with them. Maybe you're posting this on your Instagram story, right? Again, closing the loop and helping people to understand not only, what are the results that they could have and what is it that they're missing, what are they doing wrong, what do you know as an authority figure, but then you're also, like I said, closing that loop so that you are actually giving them the so what do I do now? So let's get into a little bit of the neuromarketing. Why does this actually work? So number 1, we talked about the dopamine hits. This is going to hook the audience with novelty and emotional rewards. This is another type of response conditioning where people are essentially going to want to continue binging your content because they want to feel that feel good factor in sales psychology. Okay. Number 2, we're leveraging the framing effect. So we're positioning problems and solutions in ways that feel not only clear and actionable, but we're reframing the way that we're sharing our information so that it's activating to each of the 4 different buyer types. If you create all 4 of these types of videos, you'll be activating all 4 of the different buyer types. Next, we have the norm of reciprocity. So you're giving them a lot of upfront value. And when people say add value to create sales, this is where they're missing the mark. What is more valuable than 3 tips for how to do this or the best way to do XYZ is to actually help them to illuminate what their knowledge gaps are, what it is that they're missing, and what is roadblocking them from where they want to be. That is true value. Giving people insight into what is causing them to still be stuck where they are and giving them a path forward to fix it is infinitely more valuable than tips and tricks that ultimately amount to nothing. And then, of course, we have the buyer psychology element. So tailoring the content to all 4 of the different buyer types, because we know that people care about different things when they are going to make a purchase decision. Your expressive buyers don't buy for the same reasons that your driver buyers do. And if you can infuse this scripting model into your content, you're going to be able to speak to all 4. So here's your action step. I want you to audit your content and I want you to determine if you are posting videos that attract, anchor, activate, and acquire. If you don't, then I want you to rewrite the content that you are already planning to post this week through these lenses. Watch your engagement, views, and conversion skyrocket. Okay. So make sure that you are grabbing attention, addressing the audience's current reality, and giving them a reason to incite action. Okay. When you can elicit these emotional responses, your content is going to be activating. So success looks like, yes, higher engagement, higher views, but ultimately you should see leads, applications, sales coming in not only on a much more consistent basis, but also very clearly correlated to the posts that you are putting out. You'll know if it's working and if you're doing it correctly. So when your audience starts DMing you saying, how can I work with you? Rather than, wow, thanks so much for the tips, you'll know you're doing it right. If you want to see this in action, be sure to follow me over on Instagram because this is literally all of my content. And if this was helpful for you, be sure to subscribe. We have a podcast. A lot of people don't know that. It's called the Social Media Millionaire Podcast. And if you enjoy the YouTube videos, you're going to love the podcast because I go way more in depth. I share a lot more like personal insights and kind of the mistakes that we've made. I kind of expose myself a little bit on there. So Social Media Millionaire Podcast, it's available everywhere podcasts are available. And thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video.